that he would be okay with losing to Donald Trump as long as he gave it his all.
ABC's Rachel Scott. Beryl, which came ashore as a hurricane in South Texas, has unleashed heavy wind and rain, toppled trees, and left more than 2 million power customers without electricity. Tourists continue flocking to California's Death Valley despite its reputation as the hottest place on Earth, especially amid the heat wave blanketing much of the country. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Times 9:31. With less than 1 week to go until the Republican National Convention in downtown Milwaukee, a federal judge has ruled that the protest group Coalition to March on the RNC cannot cross into the hard security perimeter to complete its planned march. The group and the ACLU of Wisconsin had sued the city of Milwaukee, alleging the city's protest plans for the convention violated the First Amendment. Parties have 48 hours to respond to the ruling. Meanwhile, a separate judge has ruled that a Wauwatosa curfew imposed in 2020 against protests targeting police officer Joseph Mensah violated state law. Those protests stem from Milwaukee County District Attorney John Chisholm's decision not to charge Officer Mensah in the shooting death of 17-year-old Alvin Cole. An attorney for the prosecuting side said that anyone whose case is still ongoing for violating the curfew can argue their citation be voided. And starting next Monday, Target will no longer accept paper checks as a form of payment in its brick-and-mortar stores since so few customers are still paying with them. The Federal Reserve says that only around 12 billion checks were written in 2021, down from 20.2 billion 6 years before that. Time for news about your money. Speaking of, in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow still struggling this morning, down 158 points to 39,186. Meanwhile, the Nasdaq is up 37 points to 18,441, and the S&P 500 has lost some of its earlier gains from this morning, but still up 4 at 5,577. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Let's check the roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving, time saver traffic. That earlier motorcycle on 94 East that had crashed around 68th Street, that has been cleared up. It'll still be just a bit slow as those earlier delays start to work themselves out just west of the stadium. Through the stadium interchange on 94 West from about 27th Street to Holly Road is a little bit slow right now. And we've got some slow spots on 894 West in our usual problem spot from the Mitchell over to about Forest Home. And your WTMJ forecast for today, we'll see clouds thickening this afternoon. A straight chance for an evening shower south of Milwaukee as a high around 79 will be reached today. Light rain chances then tonight, mainly Milwaukee and Point South, down to 67. Morning rain possible Wednesday and 76. 78 partly cloudy on Thursday. Sun returns for Friday and Saturday with highs in the mid to upper 80s. Right now in downtown Milwaukee, mostly sunny and 76. I'm Adam Roberts, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Times 9:34.
Dan, did you know the average person spends 17 minutes a day looking for clothes in their closet?
Seriously? Just looking for clothes?
That's almost 5 days a year. It's why I love what we do, giving people time back in their day and calming the chaos.
I agree, Katie. At Inspired Closets, our 3D design software allows us to build a closet of our clients' dreams.
Inspired Closets gives you your time back.
And a lifetime warranty. Call us today or visit us at inspiredclosetsmilwaukee.com.
A wife and husband team.
With an ever-changing inventory, you never know what great bargains you're going to be able to find at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. It makes shopping fun because the best finds are the ones you had no idea you'd even come across. And when they're at thrift store prices, it feels good. And it feels even better to know you're helping us help others. Shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
New windows? Siding Unlimited. Why a siding company? Because Siding Unlimited is so much more than siding. In fact, Pella Window Company of Pella, Iowa, named Siding Unlimited their Platinum Premier Contractor of the Year in the whole USA 4 times. And beyond just swapping windows, they can even put doors in place of windows, or windows in place of doors. Best windows, best installer. Go for the best. SidingUnlimited.com.
Tune in on Sundays at 10 a.m. for the AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show. Join AccuNet's Brian and David Wickert for the most up-to-date information on mortgage trends, along with timely news on the real estate market. The housing market is in flux, but the national headlines don't often fit local market conditions. Find out what's really happening on the front lines of real estate and mortgage financing in Wisconsin and make better decisions by tuning in every Sunday at 10 a.m. The AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian and David Wickert on WTMJ.
All right, every Tuesday, he's a great political writer, Dan Schaefer from the recombobulation area. All right, Mr. Schaefer, we have the RNC coming to town.
Less than a week away.
Isn't it exciting?
It's wild.
Exciting.
It is wild that it's finally. We've been talking about it for years, and now it's just days away.
So that's Donald Trump and his party.
That's right.
You covered the Biden rally in Madison last Friday.
A big news day in Wisconsin last Friday. That was sort of, perhaps the highlight. Yeah,
the phoenix rising from the ashes, or was it something else?
It's hard to say. I mean, it was. As I wrote in my piece at the recombobulation area, breaking down what happened, it felt in so many ways like a typical campaign rally. Yeah. But obviously, the context surrounding it is anything but.
The crowd, was they energetic? What was it like?
Yeah. So it was. At Sherman Middle School in Madison, in the gym there. Not a large rally by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously was announced within just days of it happening, so there was only a certain amount of time to run up. But it was, a lot of enthusiastic people in line, excited to go in. And, I think there's a lot of people who are just generally excited about a presidential visit in their neighborhood or whatever it might be. But I think, obviously, the topic everyone was talking about was the president's political future, whether he would remain as the candidate for the Democratic Party this year, what was happening, all of, the rally happening just 8 days after the president's disastrous debate performance. So I think, to a certain extent, it was trying to reassure people. There were people I talked to after the speech just said, this is what I wanted to see. He sounded great, and so on. But I think at the same time, there's just so many questions and so few answers right now.
So let's dissect his appearance in two ways. One, the policy stuff. Yeah. Was he on points? Was he classic Democrats, classic Joe Biden? What did he have to say?
Yeah, I think, throughout the event, it wasn't just Biden, but just, Tony Evers and Congressman Mark Pocan and on they, I think Democrats so badly want to have the policy debate in this election, especially with Trump as their opponent, and want to talk about Biden's record and want to talk about the accomplishments of this administration. But it's just so overshadowed by all of the things about Biden's age. And I think to a certain extent, he incorporated that into the speech. So it said, it was kind of this, this call and response type line. It was like, was I too old to, create 15 million jobs? Was I too old to expand health coverage to 21 million Americans? Am I too old to codify Roe v. Wade in my next term? Am I too old to? So it was kind of that type of thing. And I talked to Ben Wickler, the WisDems party chair, after the speech, and I was like, what really stood out to you from that speech? And he mentioned that moment. He talked about how the way he put it, it was kind of clicked in that moment where it's not about the age or one bad debate night or whatever it might be. It's about the accomplishments of this administration. It's about the record, and it's about where a second term could take the country if given the opportunity.
We both write and talk about politics, right? So we have that as our background and our experience. When you're talking about the Joe Biden story, it's more than that. And the other piece of what I want to dissect from that appearance is the person that Joe Biden is now. You and I talked last week. I've had these kinds of conversations with Joe Biden, then vice president. I have heard him take over a room for an hour in front of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. This Joe Biden, at least the one that we saw at the debates, and perhaps in Madison, because let's not forget that's scripted and it's not up on a teleprompter. It's not the same person. Now, age affects everybody.
Of course.
How much of a factor do you think that's going to be as we get closer and closer to the next debates, closer and closer to the election?
I think it's going to be the biggest story about Joe Biden, about the Democratic Party in this election, because I think what the debate did in many ways is crystallize what was already such a prominent issue. And I think Democrats wanted to keep this issue on the back burner. But voters have been saying in poll after poll after poll that Biden's age is a concern. The poll that came out in the Marquette University Law School poll the day before the debate said that more than 75% of voters said the phrase "too old to be president" is a phrase that describes Joe Biden. And so I think to whatever extent, you want to compare Trump and Biden and say, Biden's age is a factor versus Trump's, go through the list of all the different potentially disqualifying elements about Donald Trump, his felony convictions, trying to overturn the election. You could go through the list. But I think what happened with the debate is just crystallized this as the main issue surrounding Biden and his campaign right now, and there's just no running from it. It's something that they can't, kind of edit around in any way, right?
He is Dan Schaefer from the Recombobulation Area. How do folks find your great work?
You can find it at therecombobulationarea.news. Recombobulation Area publishes on Substack, where you can subscribe, and you can also find me on Twitter at Dan R. Schaefer.
Always a good follow on Twitter as well. Lots to talk about after the break. RNC coming next week. We'll get to that and more. You're listening to Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ.
When you come to Diamonds Direct, we know it's always the start of a celebration, an engagement, your wedding day, honoring a lifetime of love, searching for that special birthday gift for the one you love the most, and all the celebrations in between. That's why we've curated a shopping experience to match your excitement. You walk into a beautiful showroom with experts eager to help, or if you prefer, just explore on your own as long as you like. At Diamonds Direct, we've taken pressure out of the process. Our experts are cheerful and engaging. We'll help you on your terms with your price range when you're ready. We've made it easy by offering virtually unlimited options. With everything in our showcase being handpicked for its beauty and quality, you can't go wrong. You are guaranteed to get the best value because we are the value leader, and you have confidence in knowing you are protected with our lifetime warranties and guarantees. Diamonds Direct's experience is designed with our goal of creating not just a happy moment, but a magical one. So you leave smiling, just like you came in. Diamonds Direct, for your best moments in life. Get store hours and directions at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, now open in Wauwatosa.
This is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Annex Wealth Management. If you're tired of sales pitches when it comes to your investment retirement planning, how about a breath of fresh air? Annex Wealth Management is a diverse and talented team that provides guidance with no products to sell, zero commissions. Watch out for those commercials that end with disclaimers about insurance products sold under separate companies. None of that with Annex. Investment and retirement planning can be complicated. We know that, but here's the deal. Annex handles all of that. They did it for me. They can do it for you. They'll create a plan that factors in Social Security, your pension if you have one, IRAs, 401ks. Let's not forget about taxes. Year-round tax planning is a key factor in the success of your plan, especially now. It's time for a plan built by fiduciaries, not someone selling insurance disguised as financial advice. Annex Wealth Management is ready to assist for investment and retirement planning, tax planning, and estate planning. Know the difference. Start at annexwealth.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper-Fi.
SemperFiRoofing.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
Hey, Wisconsin, Greg Nancy here for Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac, where the summer road trip sale continues. It's where to gear up, get more for your trade, and be ready for the journeys ahead in a new Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, or a GM-certified pre-owned model. Connect with Holiday for an impressive selection while you get in on the season's best offers, whether it's low interest rate financing, generous cash back, or a comfortably low lease payment. Now is a great time to explore all that's new, treat yourself to a test drive, and enjoy Holiday's genuine guest care and transparent, simplified buying approach. It is the stuff that makes fans of drivers from all over, and I'm one of them. You'll be in great hands with Team Holiday on your side. Proud and grateful to be Wisconsin's #1 Buick and GMC dealer. Accolades are per 2023 Buick and GMC Zone Sales Records. Find yours and discover the difference at Holiday Chevrolet, Buick and GMC, Highway 41 and 23 in Fond du Lac, and at holidaygm.com. It's worth the trip.
And back with Dan Schaefer from the Recombobulation Area. All right, a week from the RNC,
That's right.
Things really get cooking on Tuesdays. Some action on Monday, but then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the big nights, the big days of all the folks coming to town. You're going to be there. I'm going to be there. We are in the midst right now of a swirl of information about the Biden candidacy. Certainly, Donald Trump, as of today, has been very quiet on the campaign trail. No appearances for the most part. He's been putting out a few posts. I'm guessing that won't continue. So just a sort of a speculative question to start. Do you think he will announce his VP before the RNC or during?
I think it would be before.
You think
I think it's going to be
That's
coming.
tradition, typically.
I think, because they're going to have to announce some of the roster for, how the speakers will be and all of that. And I think, that would be the headline grabber of an announcement before the RNC. The convention is going to bring its fair share of its own headlines to bring the VP in. I think I would speculate that it's going to come before. But there's always surprises when it comes to Trump and the RNC. We saw the party platform just released yesterday as well.
What'd you think?
It's a frightening platform. Frankly, I don't think free market conservatives could really agree with it.
Well, there's things in the platform that some conservatives don't like.
Yeah, a lot of the things about free markets, things like that. Yeah. The number 2 item on the platform is carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. This is the type of party that the MAGA Trump Republican Party is.
Can I just say this? I know I interview people on the show. That is unrealistic. It's not going to happen, and it's not right. It would devastate our economy. Republican or whatever, Democrat, whatever you are, that is a dangerous idea, one that we shouldn't entertain. And to see it show up there and other places is absolute insanity. End of speech.
Well, and the number 1 item was stop the migrant invasion, and using that invasion rhetoric is really dangerous and is stuff that we've seen from some really violent actors in this country over the years. Calling immigration, referring to immigration as an invasion, I think is a really problematic statement. And for those to be number 1 and 2 on the party's platform, perhaps a preview of what we're going to be seeing next week in the demonization of immigrants and the way that the Trump Republican Party talks about people who want to come to America and come to this great country and build their life here.
It's an interesting point because there is some concern among some of my Republican strategist friends that if this becomes dangerously close to an alt-right rally, you could lose whatever rallying Donald Trump has seen in the last few weeks based on the Biden appearance and the debate. That could go away pretty quickly. America is a country of immigrants. And I understand the whole, the border policy, immigration question. It's been fought for decades to really no real solution to how to figure that out. But to demonize people in some ways that it's so far beyond the pale, almost World War II type treatment, is a dangerous, I think, risky platform for Republicans to take at a convention, Milwaukee or otherwise.
Yeah, and it's, I think we've seen a lot change on this issue, but I think this is one that is so central to the Trump era. He from the very beginning when he launched his campaign for president in 2015, he demonized immigrants at that announcement, and he's going to continue to do that. And so I think this is just who the Republican Party is.
Do you think that's the tone of the debate we'll see next week?
I think one of the things that we got overshadowed, of course, by Joe Biden's debate performance was Trump's performance, which I think had a lot of really problematic elements to it as well, including trying to steer every answer to every question to say that immigrants are the problem, right? And I think that that is the type of rhetoric that may get the MAGA base really fired up. I don't think it is a winning platform or a good policy, and is deeply disrespectful on so many levels as far as making this the number 1 and 2 items in the policy platform. We're going to hear a lot of things about immigrants during the RNC next week, and it's going to be important for all of us in the media to cover that the way that brings we cover that with respect for people.
Well, the good news is there'll be like 15,000 members of the media here from around the world. So I'm already getting BBC radio requests. So, I mean, there's a lot of interest in what's happening in our city.
Sure
I don't want to let you get out of here without asking you about the RNC itself. Sounds like they've sort of settled the protest areas for the most part. Well, that's what they'd like to see happen. Any concerns that will morph into something bigger problem, bigger concern locally?
I don't really think so. I think we're still seeing some of the details get finalized with the ACLU's lawsuit with that. But we're also going to see a whole lot of disruption to lots of different activity for downtown. We just saw the Milwaukee County Transit System announce a lot of the changes for bus routes in and around the downtown area in the security perimeter. So it's going to be a week like nothing we've ever seen in the city of Milwaukee. That's for sure.
RNC coming to town next week. Dan Schaefer will be on scene. I'll be on scene. I'm sure we'll talk at some point during the weeks of shows that will be out there. And I will also be gathering interviews after my program. One more time, recombobulation area for the folks who aren't from here that maybe want to read about Wisconsin politics and Milwaukee politics.
Yeah, that's right. You can find me at therecombobulationarea.news. The Recombobulation Area publishes on Substack. You can be a free or paid subscriber, and you can find me at Dan R. Schaefer on Twitter.
And Dan and I disagree politically, but it's some of the best writing you will see about Wisconsin politics from a liberal perspective. So I always appreciate Dan Schaefer stopping by. See you at the RNC.
Thanks for having me, Steve. See you then.
Vince Vitrano here from Wisconsin's Morning News, reminding you to subscribe to the Wisconsin's Morning News podcast. We update it every day with every segment, every interview, and every bit we do on the show. Wait, we don't do bits on the show.
I am jazzed as hell.
You can do it .com too. .com. I'm .comming right now.
It's about 110 degrees in this room. Nice job with the air conditioning, whoever.
All right, maybe we do some bits.
Bullseye!
Subscribe to the Wisconsin's Morning News podcast wherever you get your podcasts or listen live on WTMJ.com.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Jeff Zergabel of Pasternak and Zergabel. Frank Pasternak and I are injury lawyers living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
Buying a home should be a joy, but could you imagine doing this without a realtor? Paperwork, inspections, appraisals, deadlines, showings, market research? Or you could relax. Or understanding legal documents, negotiating offers, coordinating inspections, securing finance. Oh, sorry. A realtor can take the stress out of the home buying process. See how at wra.org/a-realtor-can. Brought to you by the Wisconsin Realtors Association.
Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
Fleet Farm's got everything you need for everyday life. Brands from Carhartt to Milwaukee to Purina to Goodyear to Rapala to Levi's and a whole lot more. In-store or online, check out all the brands Fleet Farm carries to help make your everyday life better.
When you have a stuffy nose, life can be a bit unpleasant. Some live every day with a stuffy nose, and that can make life downright miserable. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula with Advent, where we are committed to eliminating your nasal breathing problems with simple in-office procedures like balloon sinuplasty, which requires no surgical cuts, little to no downtime, and can have you breathing better in less than 30 minutes. At Advent, we understand your inability to breathe freely limits your quality of life. And that's why we continue to pioneer the most advanced in-office procedures that have made our practice a global destination for those seeking to live their highest quality of life. Visit AdventKnows.com to see if you're a candidate for the balloon sinuplasty procedure. Because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Thanks to writers Christian Snyder from the conservative side of things and Dan Schaefer from the Recombobulation Area, liberal-leaning advocacy journalist, I think is the way that some people refer to those folks. Very great writing, and that's why they're on the show. A kind of a podcast tease and a show tease for tomorrow. Show tease is we have two clerks from the state of Wisconsin are going to join us live at 9:35 to talk about some of the election integrity stuff, why we should feel comfortable with our election process. And I take that to mean that they are very confident clerks, and I have no doubt that this is the case, in our system of counting the votes accurately and fairly, just like, this will get people mad, just like in 2020. That's coming up tomorrow. And we also got a little bit of our podcast love. We'll play some of those clips in the first half hour tomorrow, teasing ahead to next week's Decision Wisconsin podcast, of course, sponsored by Pastor Knack and Zergabel, our great partners here at WTMJ. And, all right, so podcasts. I have an awesome one coming up this Friday and next Friday. I do a Scaffidi podcast, which are basically everything other than politics. I had a chance to sit down with Busy and Sunny from The Amazing Race. So who are those folks? They're two firefighters from Wisconsin, two women. And they were contestants on this, I think it's season 35. We had a lot of fun trying to figure out what season it was on the podcast recording this year. And they didn't win. That's the spoiler alert. But they are amazing human beings, fun to talk to. We did a two-parter. So first part is this Friday. So I'm going to tease that on Scaffidi. They were amazing themselves as part of the Amazing Race cast of characters. And they have behind-the-scenes stuff and all kinds of great detail about what happens on that show and reality TV in general. That's the Friday podcast. So lots to look forward to as we wind it up to the RNC. Don't forget the big WTMJ Decision Wisconsin podcast we're going to release Thursday morning that we recorded on Monday when I was away from the show. That's coming up Thursday morning right here at WTMJ.com or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, a break for news, and then the great Jeff Sherman will join us on the upswing. And that's all coming up right here on 620 WTMJ.
From big tailgate parties to cozy dinners for two, the freshest ideas start with a stop at Century Foods.
Now through Wednesday, save on 10 to 12 ounce or 10 to 12 count selected varieties, Folgers or Dunkin' Donuts K-Cups or bag coffee, $5.99. 12 count 0.5 liter bottles, Ice Mountain Spring Water, 2 for $7. 3 to 6 count selected varieties, Snickers or Dove Ice Cream Novelties, $3.99. 4 pack selected varieties, Dannon 2 Good Greek Yogurt, 2 for $8.
Hey, why'd you throw my glass across the room?
I have to keep practicing.
The vase from Aunt Sophie?
I'm warming up in case I get to take them out at American Family Field. Read this.
Win the ultimate baseball